over the world. I'm sure that captures somebody somewhere. We are here, man. It's Saturday, and it's coffee, crepes, leadership, and pancakes. I'm here with my brothers. We're missing some, but it's all right because we about to get it in. Those who are your first time coming out, thank you for coming out and sharing and joining us. But those of you who are faithful fews, not fews, but faithful, man, welcome back, man. Where your coffee and your crepes at? Oh, I know Matt had his crepes. Phil, he's making some breakfast for the baby right now. He's on Papa duties. What up, Phil? Hey, hold it down, brother. And Joe, he got us thinking he baking over there. He icing, but he icing the knees, man. So look, we here to do this thing, man. It's important for us individually to get in here and do this, and we enjoy it. It's opportunity to break bread with amongst our brothers and sisters when they join us, and just share, man. We learning as we go along, and sharing our opinions based on the article. Gentlemen, y'all got anything y'all want to say before we get into this thing?
Joe, I see you chewing. I'm going to pop in there. I have experienced and talked about imposter syndrome, I think, since I was probably a teenager. Since I heard it was a thing, I went, someone finally came up with a word for what's in my head, and they probably did it long before that.
Yeah.
But that's when I heard about it. Every situation that I'm in, I have to fight to remind myself that either I got there for a reason, or I'm gonna make myself be there, and it's gonna be okay. But this is very, very common. One of the reasons that I related to this is because of, like I said, how personal it is, but also how many people I've just gently mentioned in lacking. Do you feel like maybe you don't fit? And just the responses are, I don't want to sound weak. I don't want to sound like I'm not good enough. I don't want to admit to this, but yeah, it's altogether too common. And the more we talk about it, the more real it is. And I think the better off everyone will be to admit it and to deal with it and to move on from it.
That's right. Look, we got Inspector Nacho in the building. What's up, Inspector Nacho, man? I'm glad to see you on. Missed you. You've been out for a while. Glad to see you back. What you got, Joe?
Honestly, I'd never heard of it called imposter syndrome before. So certainly a new term, but certainly not a new concept. Just perusing through the article, I had to refocus to read again because my life literally was flashing before my eyes as I read it. I mean, what human being doesn't go through that? I mean, you think about raising your children, and building self-confidence, the self-esteem, the self-image, all of that stuff, because this is all about you believing in yourself, regardless of who around you doesn't believe in you.
That's right.
Because that's the big challenge. That's how we kind of formulate in our heads who we are to ourselves by what we think of ourselves and what others think of ourselves. I think sometimes as humans, we give other people way too much authority in our life.
Say that again. We give them too much authority. Look, I mean, man, Joe, you hit that one. I think one of the... So, I'm going to piggyback on what you said real quick, Matt. So, both of you guys, I knew about imposter syndrome. I heard about it. I never really did research into it to get a understanding of it until earlier this week, where Tanya, one of our guests who come on every now and then, her show, she was talking about imposter syndrome and battling it and dealing with it. And so she had a show, and she was having people come on and talk about how they deal with it. And then I went and looked, and I was like, why does this imposter syndrome sound so familiar? And I was like, oh, that's one of our articles that we're going over. I was like, Tanya's been in the book. She's been in the bag, man. Shout out to Tanya doing the thing over there, man. That's awesome. So the article today is called "Everyone Suffers from Imposter Syndrome. Here's how to handle it." Again, this is not the know all be all. We're giving you the absolute truth. This is our opinion based on our life experiences and the things that we may have helped other people go through. And between the three of us, we've been through a lot of stuff. We've seen some stuff. And we've helped some people that's been through some stuff. And I'm not laughing because it's funny that what we've been through and what they've been through, but it's a lot of stuff. If you could be a fly on the wall when we had conversations. So just a backdrop on my relationship with my brothers in here today. We were first sergeants together in the mighty 421st Medical Battalion. Okay. And shout out to the Viper Medics and all the different units that we were with, and we were all over the Europe, Africa, in that whole area. We were over there, and we seen and experienced a lot of stuff from top down, seniors to juniors. And we had to lead up and down. So when I say that, when I'm laughing, it's because I'm thinking about some of the times that we came together and we just looked at each other. All we could do is just shake our head like, all right, what we gonna do? How we gonna do this? We gotta fix it and make it right. So shout out to these gentlemen, my brothers who's been there and always are there. So thank you, gentlemen, for always being there and being with me today. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
All right, article is by Andy Malinsky. If you guys have questions, comments, or concerns, drop them in the comment box. It'll pop up over here somewhere. I'll read it and we will share. Try to address it if possible. All right, one of the greatest barriers to moving outside your comfort zone is the fear that you're a poser, that you're not worthy, that you couldn't possibly be qualified to do whatever you're aiming to do. It's a fear that strikes many of us. It's called imposter syndrome. Now we know what it is. I know I've certainly had those thoughts while publishing pieces of writing, whether it's blogs or books. I've had them while teaching my first university classes and giving speeches to corporate audiences. I appear confident on the outside, but feel deeply insecure on the inside, wondering who I am to be stepping on up to the stage. What could I possibly have to say that anyone would want to hear? We'll pause. So, all of us have been in TRADOC. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's basically the training element of the military, Army specific. So, basic training, well, I can even go into recruiting, basic, and advanced individual training. So, basic combat training, when your recruiter gets you and they're training you up to get you to basic training, basic combat training, BCT, and then you graduate from there and you go to advanced individual training, basically where you get your specialty, your MOS. That's all under TRADOC. And then you go into like the other specialties, drill sergeant school, recruiter school, the AIT platoon sergeants who serve. What else specialty schools fall under TRADOC? The officer candidate school. All of these different schools that we have are under TRADOC, and there's a special this doctrine. That's what it is. It's a doctrine. So when you're up and you're training these people, you're running to like I had. So as I guess you guys were you guys y'all were instructors, right? Okay, so we worked together. So drill sergeant, AIT platoon sergeant, basically made sure that we got the service members to the instructors who taught these guys. So these are people who are on the platform. They're your lecturers. They're your professionals that are getting you to make you understand what you need to do and be to be an expert in that field, a subject matter expert. Get your job. And sometimes you will get, Matt, tell me a specific. We would get doctors from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
They come in and they're like, oh, I talk to them and be like, all right, so tell me what made you decide to come in, and like, oh, I would, and wherever I was a doctor, and I'm like, oh, you mean like a no, like full-fledged doctor. Like, why are you here on the enlisted side and becoming a medic? In the back of my head, I'm like, what can I tell this person, this male, this female, that's a doctor already? And this is what I was thinking about as I was reading the article. It's like, yeah, man, I definitely, or while we were in that environment in Fort Sam Houston, Texas, Joint Base San Antonio, E7s, E6s, anything are a dime a dozen down there, right?
Yeah.
You can literally walk around like this the whole time. Hey. And
I think that's why my shoulder went bad, actually.
Huh?
I said, I think that's why my shoulder went bad.
It probably is. You be like this right here. Because it's a lot of rank down there. It's a lot of rank. It's the medical school, right? Home of the medical, for all the medical now. And so you have medical professionals that'll come in off the street, and because of the job that they have, they'll come in as lieutenant colonels, some of them full bird colonels. That's a lot of rank. And you're like, hello. And they're like, how are you? You're like, no, you gotta sir, ma'am, we gotta get this down. But you're trying to teach these people who are like educated, like they're way up here, and you got to bring them all the way to where you need them to get to train them up, so that when someone else see them, the green side matches the civilian side, right? And so the whole time you battling imposter syndrome. Again, like us, when I was at HHD, it was me and a captain who were over the battalion, who was a sergeant major, couple sergeants major, some majors, some lieutenant colonel. We're like, hey, I need y'all to get this MedPro stuff together, sir, please.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know you in charge of HHD, but stay in your lane, sergeant. So it's I battled. I can definitely put myself in the shoes of this author, and I'm not alone. Actress at Harvard, Natalie Portman, described this out. She's a student in a poignant commencement speech several years ago. She says, I felt like there had been some mistake, she said, that I wasn't smart enough to be in this company, and that every time I opened my mouth, I would have to prove that I wasn't just a dumb actress. Howard Schultz, the president and CEO of Starbucks, revealed that he and CEOs he knows feel the same way. Very few people, whether you've been in a job before or not, get into the seat and believe today that they are now qualified to be the CEO. They're not going to tell you that, but it's true. Drop a pin right there. What you got on that, Matt?
Well, it's like I was talking about before. This is the failure to admit it, and that is what drives a spike between people, in my opinion. That's what drives that gap between your senior leadership and your juniors. I got here. Yeah, I got here. How'd I get here? We don't stumble into promotions in the military. We earn everything that we get, for sure. Right. But sometimes along with that promotion comes that next level of experience that we haven't quite trained for yet. I distinctly remember being a detachment sergeant going, hey, I did most of this as a platoon sergeant, but now I'm doing that instead of with a PL, with my lieutenant, I'm doing that with a lieutenant colonel, right, who's looking at me and my experience as you're the SME on everything Army because I'm a doctor and I don't know what I'm doing.
That's right.
Okay, well, I don't know it all either. And I have to say, it was some really good mentors that got me to very quickly be able to say, give your first answer. Absolutely, give your first answer. Don't just say, hey, I don't know, I don't have a clue, but let me check on that for you. I'm going to be right back. Right. And being able to admit that I didn't know everything right then and there when I was viewed as, and trust me, put up effectively on that pedestal in front of everybody by that commander. You listen to him on all things Army. Okay, yeah. Okay, let me go look at that first before you send me out there in front of everybody. Or before you have me brief this, or before we do all of this stuff, let me just check my P's and Q's. And the ability to ask those questions, the ability to look those things up, I think it made me more confident in myself, because I know I don't know it all.
Right.
I don't know nothing. I know a lot, but I also know that I'm not going to be that person that's going to second guess myself 2 hours down the road in a meeting where I said this thing and 100,000% absolutely, and then you're going, oh no, we've been chasing the wrong rabbit here.
Yeah.
Hold on. You build up your confidence through not just having that arrogant attitude, and it's tough to do, but that arrogance and that separation can really cause a lack of willingness for people to want to talk to you and ask you questions and see you as anything other than just that rank right there.
That's right. What you got, Joe?
Yeah, man, I love that particular last part of you may have it all together, but if you got the wrong attitude, the wrong persona, the way you display yourself, then you cut yourself off from half, 50% or better of any people that you're supposed to be influencing. But listening to you both, I remember my very first hardcore experience with just self-doubt. There's no way. I don't know what you people are talking about, but what I know of me, that's not possible. It was in JRTC, and so after freshman year, I got selected to go to leadership camp, right? And they only do 2 or 3 freshmen to go to this camp, because they're gonna put you on the advanced track for you to get commissioned and this, that, and the other, right? And so that already blew my mind. I was like, whoa, okay. And so I go down to Fort Stewart. It's like a 2 or 3 week camp down there, and man, we were living like soldiers. I was in a Navy JRTC, but it was at Fort Stewart, and we were getting in, man. And Alvin Toonsong, oh my goodness, dude, he looked just like, remember the old school image in 670-1 with the fro and everything, the mustache like that? Dude, that's what it, just like yours, say, that's what it looked like.
Mustache?
Yes. And he was hard as iron, man. I mean, this dude, oh my goodness. But he had one of them voices, man. When we marched, it was all I gotta do is just lay him down. That boy, he humming right now. He humming. When he took his own runs, oh my goodness. But anyway, so at the culmination end of the camp, I get presented with the leadership award, right? Big old, I think it was a 2-tier trophy. And people, congratulations, this, that, and the other. And I had no freaking clue what I got it for. And I immediately began to point out others that I thought was more deserving of it. Just like, no, man, this guy did this, and this, and that gal, look at that, she did this, and this, and come from this school, and man, you heard about her family, and all this other kind of stuff. And I would not have this. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to be in any of that stuff. And there was a couple folks. Man, I wish I never lost contact with them as I think about it now. But they gathered around me, and they was like, "Oh no, dude, no, this is absolutely you." And they went and got some cadre to come over, and one of them, off the tune, sorry, he was one of them. He came over. He said, "Yeah, Steven, I put you in for that." Why? He said, because let's take this one guy. He was real knock-kneed, man. He struggled running, right? He really struggled, and that's just not something that he wanted to do because of his legs and everything. And so we ran together every time.
Yeah.
If you drop back, I'm gonna drop back with you, and we're gonna get back in formation, and we're gonna make it through it, man. And then another person you actually asked me about my family, man. Just as they begin to point that stuff out, I was like, oh. I said, those are natural things in you.
That's right.
That make you a leader. I remember him saying it I can hear his voice right now. He said, leadership is not a position. Leadership is responsibility. It's what you mean to people. And now, in that moment, I felt real good, right? But by the time I got back to school, I forgot all that. And I went right back to I'm not worthy, right?
Yeah.
And so they did my little promotion ceremony. I went from being a seaman apprentice to a lieutenant JG, right?
Okay, JG.
Yeah, and all the other PLs were in front of their platoons. I was standing behind my platoon in the fourth squad.
Yeah.
At the end, saying nothing to nobody until Cadre came out and said, "Hey, where's y'all's platoon leader?" "Oh, we don't know. We was waiting for them to show up." And he looked back, and there I am in the back of the formation. "Joe, what are you doing back there? Get your butt up here in the front and this, and man, it was what a ride it was. But learning how to deal with self-doubt and finding what your true strengths are and what your true weaknesses are, and being okay with having weaknesses. Because Matt, that's what I really liked about what you said. You got to be able to admit first that you have weaknesses, and then step 2 is to be okay with that.
Right. You're
Right?
human. Thank you.
You're human. You're supposed to have something supposed to be wrong with you.
Yeah, if you had it all together, I mean, you definitely wouldn't be with us right now.
Right.
In my opinion, I'm like, we would have to reach out to somebody to get in touch with you. It'll be a little hard to reach out to you, in my opinion. I don't know, but yeah, it's okay to have issues, man. All right, so what can you do to overcome these feelings of inadequacy that so many of us experience? A first step is something that Portman highlights in her Harvard address, which I found quite helpful. Recognize the benefits of being a novice. Recognize the benefits of being a novice. You might not realize it, but there are great benefits to being new in your field. Absolutely. When you are not steeped in the conventional wisdom of a given profession, you can ask questions that haven't been asked before, or approach problems in ways others haven't thought of. I'm going to drop a pin right there. And I want to say that this is important, especially when you get to new positions as well. It could be the same profession, just a new position. And you run into that age-old saying of, this the way we always did this. This is how it's always done. Well, guess what? Change is inevitable. And if we stay the same, and essentially we're dying, right? If you're not changing, you're dying. That's the only reason that you're not changing. And even if you're actually scientifically, physically, whatever you want to look at it, you're dying, that's still change. It's a process in the wrong direction. So change is inevitable. It's gonna happen. Now, as a leader, the change you want to be making is positive change. So I think someone mentioned in the conversation we were having, I like to grab those students that's coming out fresh. They fresh out, they got brand new ideas. You get them, you send somebody off to school, and what do? They come in, they got these ideas. Oh, sir, look, first sergeant, math sergeant major. At this class they told us, I'm gonna tell you one that got me. I sent my armorer, who was a mechanic, to armor school. So he went in. I'm like, hey man, learn everything you could learn, come back, and we're gonna revamp this thing. We're gonna make it, we're gonna do it the right way. And he's like, they always tell us when you go there, you come back. I'm like, don't listen to what everybody say. When you come back, we're gonna apply some of this stuff. He comes back, he's like, first sergeant, did you know? I'm like, please tell me. We've been cleaning these weapons wrong for so long. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? He said, when you spray the CLP inside of after you finish cleaning that weapon down real good, what usually happens after it's been on there for a while? He said, you sit in that line, get ready to turn it in, wipe it down, and then you get up there, and then the armor grab it, and then they wipe it, and what happens? I was like, it's usually a little bit more, you know, debris or stuff on there. He said, you know why? Do tell me. He said, because you're supposed to put the CLP on there first, let it sit for a while, and that breaks up all of that gunk so that you don't have to sit there and do all that scrubbing, damaging the weapon. He said, you wipe it down, you put some CLP on there, you let it bring all of that carbon and crap up off of it, and then all you have to do is wipe it off. And then you do that again, and you wipe it off, and then the next time you get ready to, you grab that weapon and you go and you wipe it, you're not gonna have all that stuff on there because you allow for the cleaner, lubricant, and protector to do its job. And I'm like, and so I'm like, okay, I can see why this wouldn't go over well because we're known for sitting like 2 and 3 hours on the floor in the basement, scrubbing, wiping, rubbing, you know, all these different things. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna go over. But because we had them old World War I boomsticks that was breaking anyway, I said, you know what? Let me pitch this to the commander and see if he with it. And he said, yeah, let's try it. Do you know that our weapons fired better after we started doing them like that? We just, when we first get back, we're not sitting out here for no hours. I need everybody to just get some good, wipe it down with a good coat of CLP. And then we're going to come back tomorrow because we got the range for this week. Right? So I'm not going to take an hour of your time when you get back from the range. You're going to come in, you're going to wipe it down. And then you're going to come back the next day and you're going to do that again. And then the next week on Sergeant's Time Training, you're going to come and you're going to get that you're going to hit that last time, make sure that it's all good, and you're going to turn it in. Armor's going to check it, and we're good to go. Weapons were firing on point. I'm like, huh. And not one time did I break out that thing and like, hey, anybody got the little eye link thing, the little eye thing? Y'all got some little swabs that I could put inside of there? You never have a full package, right? And for those that don't understand, ask somebody for their range kit. And you'll know it's going to be partial kit. You're going to have a toothbrush looking thing that has 2 different parts on the side. You may have one that got some of the metal bristles on it. It's serious business. But there's a process that you send people off to school to learn these processes to make it the right way. And then they come back and somebody be like, hey, that's great, you know, with your idea fairies. But this is how it's always done. Right? So I'll get off of my soapbox. What do you gentlemen think about that?
Well, I tell you what, Tay, what you did for that young soldier's feud is incredible. There's something to be said because I remember being able to do it, but as a young soldier, I got to teach First Sergeant something, and then First Sergeant went and put it in for the whole unit to use my idea.
That's right.
To make a process that we all complain about better.
All complain about
it. Everybody complains about it, but nobody does anything about it, right?
Yeah.
and now each time that he comes to face to face with that, I don't know if I'm worthy, I don't know if I can do it. He at least got that one. I remember when, and so if I did that, then I can face this challenge. That's beautiful, man. You know, yeah, it's something super awesome about holding that position in any organization.
That's right.
Because you get to affect so many futures positively like that, because that can actually turn somebody from being a negative Nelly, negative Nancy, whatever, you know, the term may be. But them having those positive experiences like that can take them off that path and put them on to something, a completely different trail. And then they become trailblazers leading up down the path, you know, because I remember when I graduated PLDC, man, and I came back to the unit. First I said, oh yeah, we got a new soon to be sergeant. You're gonna get out here and you're gonna run PT, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
you're not supposed to be running PT. I want to hear about your plans. You're going to put together a week worth of PT, and we're going to see what you got, future non-commissioned officer.
That's right.
Now, I was terrified of that idea. But he said, you just went to school. I said, well, you know what? You're right, because we've been doing some stuff wrong. I've been reading FM 21-20, and we ain't doing something right. You know what I'm talking about, boy. 21-20.
That's right.
I like, you know, we do circle formation all the time, but we never do it right.
We don't do that. We don't do it right.
Never do it right, right? And so,
Follow me.
that's it. You tell us right.
You run that circle, you do the circle, and then you break off and go the opposite direction of the circle. Come on, man. I remember.
I mean, look at what it does for us, right? As we reflect on those memories, and you know, it releases those what's that chemical in the brain?
Endorphins.
Yeah, the endorphins. It releases that in you even now. I mean, think about how long ago that was. Come on now.
It was a long time ago. It was a long time ago.
That was a few minutes ago. And we can talk about it. It still makes us feel super good about those type of experiences happening, and it helps prepare us for the next time that we get that speaking opportunity, or somebody comes in and comes to come see you and say, you know what, man, I'm having a real hard time in life. And instead of you thinking, what in the world did you come talk to me about?
Yeah.
What you coming to see me for? You might want to go see a doctor. Yeah. So beautiful, man. I appreciated that story.
Oh yeah, man. Anytime. Lil Jewel Junkie said, good morning, Papa Gift and guests. What's poppin', y'all? My baby girl says, hi, everybody. Naja, hello, we love you. What you got, Matt?
Well, first of all, you know me and analogies, and weapon maintenance is absolutely going to be a leadership class talk. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Putting on the CLP, right? You know, that's the subtle changes that you bring, the way that you handle yourself. You show them what it's supposed to be, and the little things that you do, and that stops you from being. Oh, I'm doing it already. That stops you from being that leader that comes in there and says, "You're doing everything wrong. Change it now."
Yeah.
Right. That subtlety is that CLP. That is your own personal leadership CLP. Oh
right.
Man, I'm gonna have to trademark this. I think honestly, one of the worst things that we can do to junior leaders is exactly what was done to me, unfortunately, from PLDC. Thank you for reminding me that I'm old. Is the for those of you that don't know, that's BLC.
Oh, some of them had WLC.
Some of them had WLC in there. That's right. No, getting back to the unit and saying, "Hey, Sergeant," or "Hey, sir, I've got this thing," you know, and they go, "Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. Go, sweet. Go do this, go do that." And you know, sometimes just the straight up, "Okay, yeah, thank you. Shut up, Johnson. We're doing something." It's like, no, I know we are. I know we are. But let me tell you, there's an easier way to do it. We just went over this. There's a right way to do it, and then there's what we're doing. And I learned real quick that there's ways to approach people with things, and there's ways to get completely ignored. Yeah. And I think probably I put myself in that little pigeonhole a little early on, right after that PLDC, because you know, it got a big head. You know, all the ideas trying to fit in there and trying to share them and trying to do better. Worst thing we can do. And I think the best lesson I could learn from that was don't ever do that. Exactly what you said, Joe. The ability to say, I, a junior, a part of this organization, was able to impact something that the entire organization does. Right. That's a confidence builder. That's a team builder too, you know? So it's pretty awesome when people can do that the right way.
That's right. Matt, you know, you definitely should, that was a great analogy. I loved it, the CLP. And you are a great creator of lectures and programs, so I'm sure you'll find a way to make that work.
Gonna happen.
And we all suffered through the PLDC deal, man, where, you know, basically, hey, that's great, stand down, we're gonna do it this way. But you know what? I believe that created us to be who we are. It may have supported the imposter, or was it imposter syndrome? Yeah, it may have supported it actually, because if you're saying it takes. So for me, I was a very serious introvert. Like, if it wasn't for my mom, shout out to my mom, who, y'all hear those comedians talk about the parents calling you, be like, come do that dance. If my mom didn't do that, if my mom and dad wasn't about that life, I could have been like, I would have been a bookworm, video gameaholic. But I got that call. Me and my brother would get that call every now and then, be like, "Hey, come in here and do that dance real quick." You're like, "I don't want to dance for these. I don't even know these people. Hey, do that dance real quick, the new dance." And you in there doing the old MC Hammer. So what I learned, shout out to school. So parents, man, it's important to push your kids out there, man. Don't let them. And I'm not saying like do it abusively, right? But you got to see and understand the gifts and stuff, things that they have, and put them in slightly uncomfortable. Remember we talked about iron sharpening iron, right? That's friction. And the iron, if you just lay two pieces of iron together, they're not gonna get sharp. If you move them together in the same direction, you're not getting sharp. You need that friction, and you gotta press while you're doing that friction, and you gotta put them at an angle, right? To get that right angle and that friction. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you gotta apply some type of challenge. There's gotta be a challenge. Who's that? Somebody just
That's me.
said something. Oh, okay.
Along with that iron sharpening iron, something I heard about a biodome that went up in Arizona a couple of decades ago. People studying trees under perfect conditions. It was on a treadmill run I was doing. This lady was talking about it because she was from Arizona. She said one of the things that they found inside this biodome with perfect conditions to see these trees grow was they would only grow up to a certain height, and then they'd fall over. I don't know the name of exactly what a tree scientist is. Anyway, the people studying the trees came to the conclusion that there was no friction in these trees' lives. There was no wind. It was an actual dome. There was no wind. And that wind, that challenge, that little push, that nudge is what gets those trees to deepen their roots and widen their roots. And if that's not the leadership challenge that we put on our soldiers too, and that we ourselves were put through, we would be, all three of us, that slender tree just waiting to fall over. But we're leaning on each other. We're expanding our root systems because God knows we have had that wind hit us.
That's good.
Come on, man. Come on, my brother.
That's good.
It was a good one. I liked it.
That'll preach right there.
hey, I'm that is going, just so that you know, Matt. I have a Veterans Day message coming up. That's getting ready to get retaught right there.
That's all yours, sir.
That's a word right there, man.
That is word.
Woo. Yes. You can't. Hey, look. So the reason why they need their roots to grow deeper is because it's that stabilizing factors, right? And so that's what parents we create, leaders you create. So man, that was good, man. I like that. That's why we here. All right, Matt.
Agreed.
You got a point right here. You say you don't have to be new at something to be allowed to ask questions. In fact, denying ourselves the ability to ask questions and admit that we might not know everything is what has labeled many senior NCOs as dinosaurs. This is how we always done it. This is how it's done in this organization. Who can't break out of their old ways. Man, you want to elaborate on that? Hey, Joe, I skipped you on that last one. You got anything you wanted to add?
Say that last part again.
You don't have to be new at something to be allowed to ask questions. In fact, denying ourselves the ability to ask questions and admit that we might not know everything is what has labeled many senior NCOs as dinosaurs who can't break out of their old ways.
Yeah, that two thoughts on that. So, you know, when you first take the hot seat, you know, and you feel like you can ask any question in the world, you know, because you're a brand new first sergeant and you're figuring it out, right? But then year two, you think you got it all figured out. And so most first sergeants don't even ask questions no more, even though they don't fully understand how to get this done. And, you know, it's a new challenge, whatever the case may be. They sit in their little cubby holes somewhere and they never ask questions. And then the organization, the unit suffers because the master trainer believes that they don't need any more training and education. That can be real tough. And I say that because I have to remind myself of that daily now, right? So I'm a new IG. And
congratulations.
Thank you kindly. And I am on the inspections team, right? And they didn't put me in assistance and investigations first. They put me on inspections. Now, Tay, you know, you and I, we've inspected a few things.
A whole lot of things.
Just a few, you know, just a few.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself in my head, first of all, it's been quite a few years since I actually was a preventive medicine specialist. Yeah. When I was out inspecting folks and holding people to standards and this, that, and the other. And then two, I'm in a new world, so I need to ask questions. I can't have the blinders on and think that, hey, you know what, I got it. And in order to become an IG, you got to have an impeccable record anyway. So I got it going on and this, that, and the other, you know. But it's a delicate balance, right? But the key ingredient to you having that balance, I believe, is exactly what the article said, exactly what you said, is you cannot get to a point to where you believe that you can't ask questions. Can't ask questions. I mean, I really liked our credo for the IG Corps. It is to be right, then move forward. So the way they break it down in school is when somebody comes and asks you a question, even if you think you know exactly what it says, still go and double check that so that you're right.
That's right.
Before you go forward with any actions, right? And so I remember talking with my academic advisor, right, while I was in the course, and he gave me a great recommendation. He said, now I know coming up, man, you know, especially right now, you probably got a whole bunch of regulations saved. I was like, I do. And they're changing so fast these days.
Right. Yes.
So fast, man. I mean, you think you got the most current version. You downloaded it 6 months ago and, hey, Bubba, I'm sorry. This chapter is no longer, this chapter of that regulation is obsolete.
That's right.
Or it's been changed. It's not even an AR no more. It's a training circle.
And it would be the same, but it'll change what type of document it is.
Yeah. And so he said a good recommendation I would give to you and I give to all new IGs. Don't keep any of that stuff on your desktop because it serves as a forcing function for you to always go back to the source to get the freshest version.
That's right.
And so I think as senior leaders, if we have a focus in our mind to be willing to go back to get the freshest version of whatever it is that we think it is, like how you were saying, take those new minds, those new folks coming in, we go ask them for ideas to give them a voice, and we grow by that voice.
Yeah. You got anything you want to add to that, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, one of the things that I've said for a very long time, it felt sort of trite when I was saying it when I was younger, but I knew I'd grow into it, and luckily I did. The idea that I'm always going to listen to my people. I'm always going to listen to my people. I'm always going to give them their chance, you know, barring emergencies or active fire of one kind or another. Always going to listen to them. And you remind them of that. You always have a voice in this organization, and you can always come to me with things. Understand, at the end of the day, we might not always do what you have suggested, but we're going to listen. And more than just that open door policy, but that we're talking about things in planning right now. Bring it up. We're talking about things while we're walking out to the trucks to go to the field. Bring it up. We're talking about things while we're setting up the tents. Bring it up. There's no reason not to do that, and there's no reason for leaders not to listen to that. You know, why shut down what could be an amazing idea? Why shut down what could be an amazing idea factory, the generating force of all of these soldiers, by saying, or whoever works for you, by saying, I'm not going to listen to you. I know best. I think it's a worthless mentality, and we all like to say that we're competent in what it is that what we do, for sure, but you can continue to build that competence. You know, you can continue to grow, and you can continue to learn and better yourself. And Joe, you're absolutely right there. You have to. Your course mentor there was absolutely right. You have to be right, because when someone comes to the first sergeant and the first sergeant says, "Here it is," yeah, absolutely. And I distinctly remember the difference between detachment sergeant, I'm going to be listened to first sergeant, that's the SME. Oh, and that reality hit me, and I'm glad at that point I'm wearing that diamond. No one's going to question. They're just going to say, he said it, that's law. Right. Now we're going to go get arrested because we're doing something stupid because he was wrong. That's right. And you better believe you think that has authority. Well, the IG told me, oh man, no one's going to question that. I'm not going to look it up. If the IG NCOIC told me, that person knows. That's right. But keeping yourself straight so you keep everyone else straight. And I have to say, I love that they're changing. I love that we're growing as an organization. I love that we continue to develop and better. But I hate training circulars, because man, I have got FMs and ARs tabbed and red penned and notes and everything, and they are just absolutely irrelevant.
That's right. It's good information, but you can't quote it and you can't reference it anymore.
Yep. It's painful, but I mean, you know, we could go on and on about this. You know, I seen last night, a buddy of mine had shared something, this crazy little army stuff, on Facebook, and I seen it, and it was leave being denied, right? Oh, yeah. And wait till you hear this, brothers, because this one was new on me. The commander denied the soldiers leave because they didn't have the expert soldier badge yet. Yeah. Just let that marinate for a few seconds.
I'm just gonna tell you, I just have red flags everywhere. There's just red flags. Like, whoever that senior enlisted advisor is, they should have been all over that. Like, we gotta talk, sir, man. We need to talk fast, quick. Cause your job, I used to always tell my officer that I was my counterpart. My job is to keep you and me out of jail. And that's, you know, either us doing something physically stupid or us doing something mentally stupid, because we're not following the regulation. There's you can do a little bit more than I can do as far as, you know, UCMJ. I can recommend, you enforce. You are executor, right? But my job is to advise and to go in and look stuff up and make sure that we don't get locked up and demoted and embarrass ourselves, our family, in the uniform that we wear. So that person should have been all over that.
Yeah, right. You know, but it is. They have now in the ready and resilient cells. They now have the performance classes where you can be able to improve your performance, whether it's physical, mental acuity, all that good stuff. And so I know some folks have performance anxiety, like, you know, that they have what we're talking about right now, the imposter syndrome, that blocks them from being able to perform appropriately, right? And then you have others that just have so many bad habits built up in them for whatever the case. Because what I said to my buddy last night on Facebook, I said, now at least 50% of the soldiers that follow those leaders, they're going to mimic that. That's right. When it's their day, they're going to mimic that stuff because they think it's cool. Man, my commander first on was so hard. Man, you had to be able to do this and had to be able to do that in order just to be able to leave.
I couldn't go on leave because I didn't have my badge.
Yeah, so I went to go get my badge, and look what it did for me. What? You know, you already earned your leave, right? That when you ate your right hand, that's what got you your leave. It comes automatically every month.
I believe you've taken the wrong message away from that, sir. It's just want to be real gentle with those kids and be like, I appreciate everything that you're saying right now, but no.
Oh goodness, that's good.
We broke the podcast.
Yes, we did. Oh man.
Okay.
You gotta put out a warning before you do that.
Yeah. Yes, sir. That's Jesus. Help us.
Yes.
Oh Lord. We gotta pray for that individual. Alright, man. So we're moving. I think we beat that one down.
Yeah.
Okay, it's no surprise, for example, that some of the best research ideas as I get as a professor come from undergraduate students with little previous experience. People who can think with a fresh outsider's perspective. Again, going back to what Matt said, you don't have to be new to that. We need to practice maintaining that ability to have fresh ideas. And sometimes that's just leaning on somebody else. Be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And being open to new ideas. This is true in business as well. The pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly has created a crowdsourcing platform called Innocentive. Basically what we just said, through which outside innovators are paid to solve vexing problems the company faces. I have an issue in my company. Let me go talk to somebody else in another company, my battle buddies. And it works.
Yep.
It works. In fact,
Sure does.
According to a study by Karam Lakhani of Harvard Business School, many problems are solved by those from outside the field, unit, element in question. Physicists solving chemistry problems, for example. So the next time you feel inadequate in a particular domain, remember that as an outsider to the role in question, you might have the most critical perspective of all because it's fresh. You could look at it from a fresh perspective. You're not trapped in a box of this is how we've always done it. Okay? Always done it don't always mean it's the best way and the only way. We say in the military there's many ways to skin a cat. If that offends you, congratulations. We're not really talking about skinning a cat. It's an analogy. We're not hurting animals. We love animals. We really do. Okay? Matt, you got something you want to say right here? I'm gonna drop a pin.
Yes. So this is a huge benefit if you can turn NCOPD and JPD into a discussion, and that's something that we've moved a lot more to here. Certainly where I'm at now, and definitely from the 421st as well. But you get that facilitated discussion. That's what instructors are all about now. You get multiple sets of fresh eyes on your problems and immediate on-the-ground feedback without having to wait for the dreaded command climate survey, which doesn't tell you anything than that three people in your company absolutely hate you and one person is just hitting the middle button the whole way and two people kind of like what you're doing.
And
but that immediate feedback, because they'll tell you about that, as they should. But that NCOPD, that JPD that becomes a discussion opens up that right there, that crowdsourcing of information. And you go in there as an instructor, and I know this topic left, right, and middle. I know everything about it. I've spent my career doing it, whatever it is, and I've researched it for weeks, and I put this slideshow together, and I know. And 20 minutes into it, you have someone come up with an idea, and you go, wow, I never thought of it that way. So yeah, absolutely. Crowdsourcing and allowing people to have opinions, allowing people to have ideas and share them for the betterment of everybody. You don't have to be the only SME, even if you are the first sergeant or the sergeant major or the commander. You do not and should not be the only person coming up with ideas, or things are going to stagnate quick and you're going to be surrounded by yes men and yes women, or you're constantly going to be in conflict with people who don't get to be heard. There's so many good reasons to allow people to speak up, ask those questions, and be a part of things. And honestly, not very many upsides to doing it the other way.
Look, let me ask you a question. There's a training model that they have. What if novel idea that we've already talked about before? What if they utilized that training plan, right, and became more involved in it? That way, when you're bouncing between those 8 steps, you're hearing these fresh ideas as the senior, and you're learning, because I'm the SME already, but I am applying that friction by putting you in an uncomfortable position where you got to do this training, and you're coming back and you're giving me updates. We're briefing. You're presenting the training. That's what I used to always have my guys. You're going to train me before you train everybody else.
Yep.
So as they're training me, I'm learning, like, I never thought about presenting it like that.
Yep.
This is really good. And you can, at that point, add some of your nuggets into it. Well, think about adding this into it. Maybe at this point of your presentation or your training, you could talk about these things. And now, not only are you making that soldier, that individual, more confident in what they're about to do, you're helping them battle that imposter syndrome that they're going through. You're right-siding your imposter syndrome, like, okay, they're confirming some of the things that I battled. You know what I mean? It's a reason why we have these systems, because we all battle with these things, and it helps. And it's a continual process. Every time before I go up and start training, I'm always thinking about, oh my God, am I gonna do this right? Am I gonna say that right? Am I gonna speak loud? You know, my boards, my sergeant major, his sergeant major leaned over. He said, Gifford, if you don't yell at me, I'm gonna come over there and grab you up out that chair, because I will be answering the questions right. I will be giving it, but I'm thinking in my head, I'm yelling at them, and you don't yell at your seniors, right? And so I'm in there, I'm like, yes, sergeant major. Yes, first sergeant. Yes. And they like, if you don't talk like you got a pair of something, you better open your mouth. I know you know the answers, but I need to hear you. And so then from that point forward, I'm questioning, like, am I being too loud? Am I being too aggressive? Because on the flip side, I had another sergeant major who was like, Gifford, are you okay? You look like you want to come over and fight. Well, I had to jump into character when I go into the board so that I get loud. And now my character's too aggressive.
What do you want from me?
You're talking about imposter syndrome every time I go before the board. It doesn't matter. They're like, you're so good, you do all this stuff. But I still, before I walk in there, before I could jump fully into character, I'm like, I have questions. I'm questioning my ability. My wife, all the way to me walking out the door, sending me texts before I go into this stuff. She's like, you got this, don't worry, you study hard, you prepare. And I'm just like, I don't know. You know, so it doesn't matter at what level. I'm so glad they said that. We battle these things, but we have these systems in place. The military, at least I know we have systems in place that help us help others and ourselves overcome those questions and those second guessing, right? So a second tip for combating imposter syndrome is to focus more on what you're learning than on how you're performing. Really? According to psychologist Carol Dweck, the feelings that imposter syndrome leaves you with are ones we might actually be able to control. With a performance mindset, which people suffering from imposter syndrome often have, you tend to see your feelings of inadequacy or the mistakes you make as evidence of your underlying limitations. This mindset only fuels the concerns you have about being unfit for your job. But there's something you can work to cultivate instead, a learning mindset. From this perspective, your limitations are experienced quite differently. Your mistakes are seen as inevitable parts of the learning process rather than as more evidence of your underlying failings. That is good. That brings us, oh no, that's the second one. Oh, y'all got anything y'all want to drop on that second one?
Absolutely. That, just real quick, that is allowing people to make mistakes, right? Here's a little job. Here's your left and right limits. You probably cannot burn down the building. The company will not fail in its mission if you fall down, and allowing them to make those little mistakes, giving them that freedom to say, it's okay for me to screw up. Great. You screwed up. Let me give you some guidance. Move forward. Try it again. See what you do next time. That's the wind buffeting us, right? That's that adversity that we need in order to grow. Because again, I know if I were perfect, I would be imperfect. If any of us were perfect, we would be imperfect, because we wouldn't have the strength to take it the first time we were wrong. And that's why we want to allow our juniors to make those mistakes. So the first time they make a big mistake, they're not a platoon sergeant, detachment sergeant, first sergeant, sergeant major sitting in front of 30 to 200 people and screwing up, freezing up, and losing all confidence in themselves.
That's right. That's good, Matt. And look, I think it's important for us to do it for our subordinates, our peers too. But I think it's also good for us to be able to share when we do make those mistakes in our learning process, so that they see that it doesn't stop. I think, Joe, you said it. Matt, you may have said it. We're learning. We're always learning. We're continually learning. And as we're learning, we learn through our mistakes when we fail, right? And so as they see us learning at this higher level, it gives them the courage to be like, you know what? They're not afraid to make mistakes, and when they make mistakes that they're learning, you're creating that environment, and it just makes it even better. You're never going to get away from imposter syndrome. It's impossible. Because you're always it's gonna be a situation where it's like unless you stop facing new things, right? Unless somehow you create a bubble where everything stays the same, you control every aspect of it, and then you become like that tree. You become Bubble Boy, and the first strange thing that happens is gonna topple you over. So yeah, that's really, really good. I like that. Share your successes, but also share your failures. Remember, Sergeant Major Pierce, that joker used to come in with all them bruises on him. I'm like, man, what is going on? He was like, man, I jumped this. He was a mountain biker. And he'd be like, I was going down the hill, and I decided to jump like this instead of like this, and then I went over. And I'm like, what are you doing? He was like, oh, it was fun, though. I loved it. And I'm like, I guess I got to go try something different. Sergeant Major over here jumping off of ramps and stuff.
Yeah.
He scrapes everything. He's still getting battle wounds. He loves getting his battle wounds. So, shout out to Sergeant Major Pierce and all of those Sergeant Majors that's out there. Senior leaders, all of you gentlemen out there. Y'all out there doing it. Still leading from the front, showing people. I remember, Joe, you with your bad knees. I remember seeing you out there running with them. I'm like, what are you out here doing running with these daggone soldiers up and down the bomb holder hills?
And hurt myself. But I tell you saying that, I remember I used to be so ashamed of that, right? Feeling inadequate as a soldier. I'm not a complete soldier. And, you hear it come from some of the most senior leaders in the United States Army about if you can't run, you came in the Army running, what's wrong with you now?
Yeah.
You're not even a full soldier.
Real soldiers aren't on profile. Be like,
what?
20 years.
Yeah. But once I embraced it, and I really got an understanding, it was at 421, I got an understanding of what transparent leadership actually looks like. Because, coming up, you ain't supposed to let your soldiers know when you're having a hard time, or you got challenges and this, that, and the other. Well, how in the heck are they supposed to learn?
That's right.
How am I leading by example if I don't let them see my humanity?
That's right.
And so I really hang around you fine fellas there in the good old the Rock. I began to learn how to do it, really how to do it, and it made me much more successful as a first sergeant because my soldiers got to see. But I was this time last year, I got my last clearance of you don't have cancer, and my soldiers got to watch me go through it, right? Got to watch me go through it. I didn't tell them everything, but I certainly didn't. If they, some like my platoon sergeants, those that are closest to me, they come in, they close my door. First on, how you doing?
Yeah.
And I look at them. I'm okay, man. No. First, I came here to come check on you. How you doing, man?
Yeah.
We wanna check on you because we know, and we talk. Humans to humans, ain't no rank in the room. Then it's just two human beings talking. And from what they tell me, they grew from it. And yesterday, I completed a, you know how you get those leadership surveys. If a sergeant major selects you for it, to assess the potential, what they're good at and all that good stuff. Well, I got one from one of my former CSMs, and I did it yesterday, right? And as I thought about his strengths, one of the things that impressed me the most about him is, I ain't gonna put all his business out there, but tragedy struck in his family, right? At the core of his family. And of course, he's a GEOBAT. He's at Fort Hood, and his family is in Alabama.
Yeah.
And so he took that emergency leave so he could go home and take care of business and be there. And then he came back, and you could tell he's hurting. The things on his mind. But watching him lead through that with compassion and he's not taking anger out on anybody, and the clarity and the quality of his thoughts are still there. It was something to behold. Just whoa, man! That it is, and y'all know it ain't a whole bunch of sergeant majors out there that when they're having a hard time, they let you know that they're having a hard time,
Right.
and you can watch their actions through it. Because I think we as senior leaders sometimes we fail to realize how honorable it is to allow yourself to feel and to allow others to see you feel.
Right.
Y'all move through that together because what's the old saying? No man is an island.
Yeah.
It's a saying. We in these new times, so no man or woman is an island. And you need a friend. That's one of the things I love most about the military. One of the first things you get told when you get in is, here's your mandatory friend.
Your battle buddy.
Your mandatory
friend. Yep.
And y'all gonna learn everything about each other.
That's right.
And I'm gonna make it so uncomfortable for you. You will have no choice but to let somebody else in, because wearing this uniform means that you never have to be alone ever again.
That's right.
And I think that's one of the principles that we can take away from the military that really can combat against that imposter syndrome. You're never alone. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, you're never alone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that we happen to be in the same spot at the same time, and everybody's dealing with physical ailments, whether you're on a permanent profile or not, and all were put in leadership positions, but we had senior leaders who were highly against people on profiles, but we all ended up in those positions, and we had favor in those positions because they knew when they said, right, peace, we weren't about to disappear.
That's right.
We led from the front, to the point to where sometimes our senior leaders and officers and even juniors would be like, hey, first sergeant, you need to go sit down. We see you hurting. We know you're hurting. It's okay. We got this. And that's beauty, man. That's beautiful. I remember having a conversation where, you know, people was debating whether they should get rid of their permanent profile because of XYZ, and like,
Yeah.
and it's legit, you know, it's legit. So I'm like, you know, I firmly believe that promotion comes from above, and everybody's gonna get where they need to be at. But do what you do, shine where you, what they say, bloom where you're planted.
That's it.
That's
When
it.
you
Bloom where
do
you.
that, when you do that, man, as much drama as we had, man, I look back and I see the fun times. I see the when we laughed through the storms. I see that. I see that versus the drama, you know, and I believe that all of that stuff can help you, whether you're dealing with it internally or like you were saying, you got your battle buddy and you can see it in them battling it, or they tell you that they battled it. I don't think I'm ready for this. Most leaders, that's why I tell my junior leaders, I was never ready for any of the positions that I went into. I wasn't ready, but I had the mindset of I'm mentally capable to do anything. I'm not necessarily ready. Like, I was ready to go take over when you left the vets, because them my people. I'm like, I know them. I'm good. I can do this with my eyes closed. And then they was like, nah, we're gonna send you over here with these people. And I'm like, I don't know anything. I mean, I've been a whiskey for a while, but that's not my subject matter expertise. I could pretend for a while, but y'all tell me to go through a mass cow. I see blood, and I'm like, no. Now, we have trained responses, but my first trained response is, ew. And then I'm gonna go through what you trained me to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen. I know it because I'm like, oh, it's the bone sticking out. Jesus, why? It's like, well, you've been a medic for a little while, but I wasn't really trained. I just trained medics. You know, it's a difference. But you give me some food issues, I gotta shut down the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So when they put me in those different positions, I had to lean on my understanding of myself as far as a learner. And what did I do? My imposter syndrome, I utilized the learning aspect of it, and I partnered with people everywhere. If it was a medical issue, I found my medics, my senior medics, my junior medics. I leaned on them. If it was my mechanics, I went down and talked to my mechanics. Everybody where I had an issue or I felt like I wasn't adequate, I talked to my SME, my subject matter experts, or my brothers, who I'm so thankful that each and every last one of us was a different MOS. And I can lean and ask you guys questions.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, hey man, I don't know anything about this. I don't know who it was. I came and I was like, Sergeant Major asked me about this acronym. I have no clue what this acronym is. And I was like, well, I blew that one.
Been there.
And I still got the job. And I told Sergeant Major, like, what did you think when I answered that? He said, man, I wanted to laugh so bad, but you were confident. Shout out to Sergeant Major Riddling, because he was, you know, he had that hearty laugh.
That's it, man. That is it. That's the laugh.
When I asked him about it, he had to get the laugh out first. And he was like, man, I wanted to laugh. I said, well, I'm glad you didn't, because I would have lost my composure and laughed with you, because your laugh makes me laugh.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, thinking about Sergeant Major Riddling, I remember, and you was talking about boards. I remember how nervous I was going to the Morales board, man. Man, I was so nervous. Oh my goodness. And so I'm super thankful that he was sitting on the brigade board, right? Because he helped pull me out of that little dark space, you know. And then before the last board, we were just sitting out there together, and he was reviewing NCORs, you know, on his phone. He was just going through doing his Sergeant Major thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, and they talking about weapons, and I'm thinking about the final trials, and man, I ain't never even seen the M17 yet, and that's right. That I gotta do something with that in the board.
Yeah.
That's the new hotness. We ain't got them. I'm in a medical unit. We ain't even got it yet.
They on the books, but they ain't came in.
Yeah, and then my little detachment, we only authorized 2. And so I remember, because he was doing this thing until I built up a little courage and said, Sergeant Major, I'm a little nervous. And he looked over at me, and he gave me that strange look, like, what? You nervous? It's not possible. Yes, it is. You don't see these hands wobbling?
That's right.
And then, he cracked a couple jokes with me, really just put me at ease, so that I could get over it and remember that I've been learning for years, and all those boards are about is testing how well you've learned.
Yep. Right?
It's not about how many mistakes you make. You're supposed to make mistakes on the board. That doesn't stop you from making it through.
That's right.
The process. Right? It's even when you make some crazy mistakes in there, the board members are more interested in how you recover from said mistake from the mistake itself.
That's right.
Right? And so when I got in there, for instance, when I picked up the newest M4 carbine that I've ever touched in my life, and I'm nervous, and so I go through the functions check, and I treat that bad boy like it's an M16, man.
That's right.
And so I charged that handle 3 times, right? And I go squeeze that trigger, and I'm like, the hammer did not fall.
It's not working.
Well, I don't know what happened, so I'm just gonna put it down. I tried to do it smooth. They caught it. They caught it. And so they let me all go through. And what was that? Sergeant Major Robinson was the one. You know how he was.
Oh yeah.
Hey, there, Sergeant Stevens. So, I know you high speed and low drag, but I think I missed something on your functions check. Can you go ahead and do that again for the board? And so this time there were no questions. They were all watching me. I'm like, oh sweet Jesus. My heart was pounding. I could feel it in my neck. It was, and I do it the exact way I did it before, because I couldn't think of, I didn't know what I did wrong. And so I get to it at the end, and I know they saw it on my face. I had to, what is really, why is the hammer not falling?
Yeah.
I did it exactly right. And Sergeant Major Robinson says, Sergeant Stevens, what's the name of that weapon? I said, it's an M4, Sergeant Major. He said, yeah. And don't look at it, because I know you know it. What are the cycles of fire on that weapon? Better yet, what is that selector switch point at? And I looked at it. They chuckled all of them. They chuckled all at the same time. I let the sigh out, like, good night. What's wrong with me? I said it. I started, a little nervous. Antiquated files came up. I went back to what I knew, and what I know is an M16. And he said, very good. Put the weapon down. You know what you did wrong and why you did it wrong. And
That's right.
Yeah.
I know we're sidetracked, but talking about boards, we just had our promotion board yesterday. I was sitting on it, and one of the best damn mechanic NCOs I've ever worked with came in, and he's shooting for staff sergeant, and big kid. He could probably bench press the motor pool. One of those guys, you don't need a jack when he goes under there to look at the engine. He's just like, I got this. Yeah, it's this thing. He's just a big kid, and he was as quiet as possible. And the board president asked, because my sergeant major deployed, we had a major sitting there, but she's prior service. She said, name a strength and a weakness, and he named his strength, and he said, and my weakness is public speaking. I'm well aware of that weakness. I'm working on it, but it's affecting me right now. Definitely. I know I'm going to be a little bit quieter and trying to speak up. And as he's saying this, I'm like, well, I'm absolutely going to talk to him about that, because that's one of the things that we were going to say. But he went through, he cracked his shell a little bit, in a good way, broke through those nerves, and he was able to get stuff out. But you could still see, sometimes he'd ask him a question, that was just situational. It wasn't book, it was situational. So it required a little bit of thinking before you came to the answer. And I just watched that little guy behind his eyes go, hey, bud, hey, here's the answer. It's right here. It's right here. And the one on the outside just went,
Yeah.
I don't know right now.
I don't know the answer to that question right now.
Right. Well, he came back in because we did feedback with every single one of them right after their board.
Yeah.
Because there were so many of them. There was no sense in making them wait 6 hours till the next person. It was literally 6 hours. He came back in. He walked in. He reported, said, have a seat. And you could just see it in his shoulders. It wasn't the slump of, it was the, not this, it was the, I know what I'm doing. I'm sitting here talking. And after a couple of back and forths, I said, I'd ask this guy all the same questions that I was asking the guy that was in here a minute ago. And he'd get them all. And he goes, yep, probably. He said, I'd like it if you didn't. But yep, probably. Because, he had shut off that fear of, now I'm sitting in front of a bunch of master sergeants and a major, right, that I know. But the me I was 30 seconds ago was all bundled up in nerves, and I didn't know any of these people. I just knew the fear, right? It's real. It's absolutely real. But he was able to take that feedback and got his promotable status because he did not do badly. He just had some nerves. But, that's what you're talking about, dealing with that frustration, dealing with that. I know this. Why can't I get this right now? Why can't I access this? And in times like that, high stress times like that, as a leader, even not in a board, there is nothing wrong with a junior leader or one of the junior soldiers coming up and saying, Sergeant, I don't know this right now. I don't know why, but I can't figure it out. Great. Let me help you. Yeah. We're always there to do that.
Look, man, you reminded me, and it is a little bit sidetracked, but it's all on imposter syndrome. I had a soldier when I was stationed in Norfolk on the Navy base. This guy, his imposter syndrome was so bad that he had such a fear that he would fail, but only when it came to official tests. Only. It got to the point where I had to talk my first sergeant into let me just give him, let me give him I'll read the regs and stuff to him, in a way where it's like, he's not knowing that I'm about to give him a test. Diagnostic, just to test my theory. I'll go over the stuff and just talk about stuff with the leaders, soldiers around. Y'all stretch out, y'all stretch. Kind of make it real relaxed. And I'm like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do our 2 minutes push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and we're gonna practice like as if it's a test. Okay, so I need you to do the best you can on this. This is still PT. We're gonna do. This is the PT for the day. We're gonna go through the motions of a test. Take the test and pass it. The moment I said that this test is a record of your give your commanders an understanding of your physical capabilities and the needs and blah blah blah, and that dude I would look over and he would be sweating buckets, and he would pass the push-ups barely, he would barely pass sit-ups, and the run nowhere near pass. But then I'll go right back a couple days later, give him another one like we're just gonna do a test. We're just gonna do for PT. We're just gonna 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and we're gonna run the 2 miles, and we're gonna time it. Okay, we're timing ourselves. We're gonna go through the same motions as if, just so that we can get used to it. Do it. No issues. And so it's crazy that there's an imposter syndrome that would affect someone's physiological abilities that bad, right? And that's why it's so important for us to get into that second point of transitioning our mindset on, instead of focusing on it's a failure, to where it's an opportunity to learn, right? So let's finish this out. It's the third one. Brings us to the third tip. Understand the power of perspective, right? It's going on that changing the way we look at it. Those of us who experience imposter syndrome often feel like we're the only ones feeling this way. We're on an island, but reality is very different. Early in my career, when I walked into a networking event, I was convinced that I was the only one worried about making small talk with strangers. But over time, I've realized that practically everyone in the room shares that same concern. Facts. According to a recent survey by Vantage Hill Partners, being found incompetent is the number one fear of executives worldwide. So if you're feeling like an imposter, chances are that others in your situation feel the exact same way. Or as Tina Fey once quipped, I've realized that almost everyone is a fraud. I've realized that almost everyone is a fraud. So I try not to feel too bad about it. It may not be easy, but overcoming imposter syndrome is possible. You don't need to feel helpless or alone. Next time you're in a situation that feels completely outside of your comfort zone, don't focus on your failures. Do not focus on failures. Consider it your opportunity to learn from your missteps and to bring forth a new perspective that others may not have. And that is Andy Molinsky out of the Harvard Business Review. We'll close out with our final thoughts on that last part and what you think about the whole thing. We'll start with you, Joe. What you got?
Well, that realizing that when I love that, when you was talking about, you're not the only one worried about, oh snap, a phone died.
Oh, we'll go with you,
Yes,
Matt.
that was good.
I thought that was part of what you was trying to say.
I thought it was too.
All right, what you got, Matt?
Yeah, it's a great article. It's a short article. I think another, if you want to read more on this, a great book by Patrick Lencioni is The Motive. And it touches on that CEO idea of I know what's going on because I have to know what's going on. Even if I don't know what's going on, I'm not going to admit that I don't know what's going on. A CEO from a relatively small business was offered assistance from a competitive CEO from the same style of business, but outside of their actual realm. The idea being that the CEO who was struggling basically said, "Why are you here? Why are you in my area? What are you doing? You don't need to be here. I don't need you here." And he was very aggressive against this other person. And the guy who basically came to ask questions and help and assist because he saw this competitor sort of fading, wasn't there as a shark, wasn't there to say, well, you're failing, so I'm going to buy you out, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to make you fail. He said, man, there's no way you're going to bring your business into my area and ruin what I already have. I'm not here as an aggressor. I'm here because I've been through this. I've got this person who helped me. Let me bring her on board to help you. And that is something that we see in NCOs too often. I have to say, as a detachment sergeant, first sergeant, you, especially as a platoon sergeant, going over two peers, and we're all in that very aggressive, I've got to do well, my people have got to do well so I can promote. We're very wary of receiving help, even when it's handed to us on a silver platter. Because what is this person trying to get on me? Are they trying to backstab me? We don't live in that world anymore. We don't have to worry about things like that for the most part. There's always going to be some people like that, but reach out, be the person who is willing to take your ideas out and share them with other people. And if you're having a great idea shared with you, take it, make those connections, spread your roots, build your team, even if it's not your team. A peer can be a teammate later. They can be someone that you're working for later. They can be someone that's working for you later. But if you're not willing to admit, hey, I can accept help, then no one's going to listen to you when you have help to give.
That's right. That's good. Well, I was hoping that Joe would be able to make it back
I know.
to finish what he was trying to say. It usually takes about a minute for it to load up. But for everybody that's out there, man, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us Saturday morning. If you get a chance to, we talked about, I talked with Dr. Garrett Green last night, and the show was on diversity and inclusion. Very good, very good. He's the director of that diversity and inclusion over at Augusta University. Shout out to Augusta University. They have a lot of good programs that are, helping the students and also helping the community. What's up? What's up, Azia Tayako? I can never say it. I can never say it. What's up, Cindy? That's what I'm gonna say, because I'm not in the military anymore. Sergeant, that's Sergeant Mini Me. That's one of my military kids, man. That's so good to see you on. But yeah, man. You guys check out the show from last night. Man, leave me some feedback. We gotta keep getting better. Eventually, we'll do some of these shows together when we get to sit down there all in the same spot. I gotta figure out how that works. But yeah, man, thank y'all so much for coming out. Everybody have a safe rest of your day. Enjoy it. I said last night there was a there he goes. I was saying last night that you're gonna finish it out for us, Joe. She said, I can never say it either, but I always enjoy these lives. Hey, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. But look, so last night I made a point. Man, life is, it's a glimmer. You blink your eyes and it's gone. You never know the day or the hour when your time has come. And so in saying that, my reason is my big sister passed away not even 2 weeks ago. And her and my wife was planning our next vacation. We were getting ready to go places. We were going up to spend time with them for Thanksgiving, potentially, at least around that time frame, because you want to spend time with your family, right? And then she's gone. She's making jokes one moment, and the next moment she's gone. And so, why do I say that? It's not to be a Debbie Downer, but it's to say, while you have breath in your lungs, and then you're in your right mind, reach out to your family, your friends, tell them you love them, tell them you're thinking about them. The beauty of text is you can shoot a text message, right? If you're not a caller like me, and you know one thing that I hate when people just randomly video call me without my permission. Don't just video call me. Now, you know what? I'm saying call your people. If you're thinking about me, and I know I'm gonna hate this, if you're thinking about me enough and you just want a video call, then that is what it is, because life is fickle. You cannot tell. So I just gotta be intentional about not feeling like my personal space is being violated when you video call me. I'm like, just call the phone so I can still have my headphones on. I could be half naked running around the house. I ain't got to get dressed to get on the phone. And Jill Junkie tell me something, hey, I'm gonna do what I do. I know you're gonna video call me anyway. And it wasn't directed at the Jill Junkie, because she do video call me. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't like talking on the phone, but I hate talking on the video phone worse. You know why I hate talking on the video phone? It's because I gotta have the phone like this. If I'm on the regular phone, I can sit that joker down, have the audio in my ears. But on the video phone, they be like, where you at? I can't see you. I'm like. So anyways, that's what I gotta say. That's what I talked about, opened up with last night. Man, embrace every moment that you can. Again, reach out to your family and friends. Tell them, shoot them a message. Hey, I love you. Thinking about you. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you and I care about you. All right. So, gentlemen, I don't know if I said enough. I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything you do, and for reaching out and checking on us when you find out about everything that happened. Happy birthday, blessings to my sister Brenda from the Jewel Junkie. Yeah, tell her we love her. Happy Feliz Cumpleaños! If I said it right, I know my Spanish is broken.
she giggled and she said,
all right, y'all. So, Joe, you gonna close us out, brother, and then we're gonna be out. We're gonna go. I gotta go change the oil.
Yeah, I understand. I need to season some meat, but I so enjoy these conversations, and for all those that are listening, this is what we're doing right now is one of the best ways to battle the imposter syndrome. Right now, this is how you build confidence. This is how you gain new, fresh ideas. This is how you deepen your roots into the things that you believe in, is by not forsaking to come together with those like-minded like you, and you get to hear new, different perspectives. That's how you get perspective, right?
Right.
Because perspective represents wisdom, and wisdom comes from experience. And so for those that, you may be in your 20s or your 30s, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Don't rush. Don't rush, and enjoy every day, because as Tay just said, nobody's promised tomorrow, right? So live. There's a difference between walking around every day and actually living. There's a difference. And so what my brother was just talking about, ensuring that you call and checking on people, telling them that you love them, that's living. Spending time with those that are dearest to you, and it will build your self-esteem, your self-image, your confidence, your ability to think through problems when the winds and storms of life come, your ability to be able to make it through that with a better perspective, because you're going to make it through it regardless.
Yeah.
It's how you make it through it. That's the important part. And I think this is one of the best ways that I know how to get through said hard times. I was just talking to my former commander yesterday, I think it was. The day before yesterday, we were on the phone, and I now fully understand why most Master Sergeants keep First Sergeant on their email long after they ain't been a First Sergeant in 3 years, and they still got it on their email because of what it means to them. And when you come out of the seat, you go from being the man or the woman. I mean, nobody challenges. The soldiers go in and they talking with the commander, and what did First Sergeant say?
Yep.
Oh, First Sergeant said that, then that's what we're doing. There's nothing goes against that. And that drastic change from being that to you just, what am I gonna do today? Whoa. So it's a huge change. And so for me personally, me being able to be involved in these conversations, it gives me that extra splice of cable to give me that 5-prong that I need to be able to tow the weights of life along with me as I cruise.
Yeah.
And so love you guys, especially you two. It's so good to be able to see your faces. Love you guys to death. I'm so glad that after all these years, we still get to get together, laugh, joke, share stuff with each other, email, text, video chat, all that good stuff. That man keeps my, what was that old commercial? Get your motors running.
That's right.
Head out on the highway.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, this really gets my motor running, man. So I really appreciate it. I'm so glad I could be a part of this.
Yeah, man. Well, that's it right there, man. That's you wrapped it up well. Everybody be safe, and until next time, peace and God bless you.
Love you guys.
Love you
Love
too,
you
bro.
guys. Later.
Later.